What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to highlight your setup position and how your setup's actually affecting the way you deliver the club at impact. So I'm going to talk about kind of two common things now. So the reason why the ball's going out to the right is because the club face is open and your path's just getting a little bit too much from the inside. But I'm going to relate it back to this right leg position and the way we actually transport our arms to the top of the backswing. So if I kind of roll the backswing at this moment in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line on your right hip, then I'm going to draw a line on your shaft plane, and I'm just going to pay close attention. I just want you to watch this right leg in this right pocket. So what's actually happening, leg stays a little bit too flexed on the backswing, meaning it stays a little bit too bent, and that right pocket doesn't create a lot of, let's say, rotation of the backswing, and your arms stay just a little bit out in front of you too much on the backswing. And what tends to happen on the downswing, if our arms are a little bit too much in front of us, so we have to kind of put the brakes on there, our body stops turning, and that's an attempt to actually shallow the golf club out. And as you can see, the hands are moving a little bit on top of that line, then they go slightly underneath it, halfway down. That's just a rescue mission just to stop the club getting a little bit too steep. So what we're going to focus on is going to focus on that right leg. We're just going to feel like that right leg straightens a little bit more on the backswing to allow that right pocket to just turn a little bit more behind your body, so you're not as restricted in that right hip. So, and I just want you, we're just going to create a little bit more stability in your legs instead of that left leg moving a little bit too forward towards the target and the backswing. We're just going to allow that right foot and right leg just to turn a little bit more into the backswing. We're going to create that through a little bit more leg straightening and just getting a little bit more hand depth on the way back to allow the club to just travel a little bit more and a better downswing. As you take the club back, you're just allowing this right leg to straighten slightly. It's almost the feeling that your weight's going a little bit more onto your left side as you take the club to the top of the backswing. So right leg has to feel like it stays a little bit straighter on the backswing, and this right hip just has to feel like it's going to get a little bit deeper. So that feeling of the right leg straightening is going to allow that right pocket and that right hip just to turn a little bit more into the backswing. And the tendency at the moment is, if this right hip turns, that right leg straightens, that right hip's going to create a little bit more depth, and what's going to happen is our arms aren't going to travel as high into the backswing. So club across your chest, just want you to feel the rehearsed movements of this right leg just straightening a little bit. The more that right leg straightens, the stabler that will become in the backswing. The left knee will be kept a little bit more quieter. So put the club against your shoulders from this position. Just want your rehearsed moves, allowing your right leg to straighten slightly, and that's going to allow this right pocket just to turn a little bit more. Maybe swing as you take the club to the top of the backswing. Right leg has too much flex, it stays it's too bent for too long. And what happens is our legs are just losing a little bit of structure. So when you feel like you're doing, get the club to the top of the backswing. So instead of our legs collapsing too much and this right pocket being a little bit restricted, so because this right hip's not turning a lot on the backswing, tendency as our arms lift, and arms get a little bit high at the top backswing, tendency as we swipe across it, and then we try to stop the body turning to get the club head just to turn a little bit more behind you. So a little bit more behind you on the way back, that right hip turning is going to allow our arms to travel just a little bit more around our body. So I feel like my left arm is more across my chest. That's going to get the club to travel a little more from the inside, as opposed to lifting the club up too much. A couple things to work on. Set up to the golf ball. Allow your right leg to straighten. You feel like your pocket goes more behind you. Allow you to create a little bit more hip depth. And as we get to the top of the backswing, I just want you to feel like your left arm goes a little bit more across your chest as opposed to a little bit too high. And that's going to allow you to create a little bit more depth on the backswing as opposed to getting too high, swiping across it, and then we're kind of realising we're in trouble and just keeping our weight behind the golf ball. So when you feel like straighten your leg, right hip behind you, get your arms to the top of the backswing, left arm feels like it's more across our chest, and on the way down I just want you to rehearse. Instead of our body naturally reacts to what's actually when the club's in trouble. So this club getting steep on the way down, body's having to tilt that as to shallow it. So what you feel like, left arm more across chest, the backswing, the arm's going to follow. So I just want you to feel like you're slowing your arms down a little bit more. So you almost feel like your right arm keeps its width a little bit more, left arm across your chest, and we're just turning from that position. So feel like you're pulling your chest along for the journey. But back, that's going to get your hips to create a little bit more depth. Obviously maintain our spine angle. Left arm, as opposed to being too high, feel like it's more across your chest, so underneath your chin. That's going to feel a lot flatter, but that's how it has to feel in order to, it's almost the feeling of slowing our arms down, but trying to get our chest to turn towards the target, which is going to prevent the club getting steep and then under, let's say, too far underneath on the way down. The problem on the downswing is your arms outracing your body, and then your body having to stop to allow the arms to obviously to slow down the body to catch up. What we need to do is we need to kind of go back to the setup. It's all created through the restricted hip turn. So instead of this right leg being a little bit too bent, I want you to feel like you keep it a little bit more straighter, and then we're allowing the right pocket to turn more behind us, creating a little bit more hip depth. Left arm a little bit shallower, and left arm below kind of our shoulders on the way back. And then from that position, we're just getting our chest to rotate more on the way down and towards the target, keeping the width in the right arm.